Are you looking to make more money or are you looking to build wealth? There's a huge difference between just making more income and developing your long-term wealth strategy. And it might be easier than you think. Join us today for a conversation with financial coach Holly Morphew, who is going to teach us the simplicity between living life on your terms and being able to invest in the growth of yourself so that you can live the life that you're always dreaming about. I'm Clara Capano, and this is Women Winning Their Way. Here at Women Winning Their Way, we talk about the importance of self-care. With it being open enrollment for health insurance, we have partnered with Leela Smith, the owner of Etta and Associates, who is licensed in over 30 states, to make sure that all of us have the best coverage for ourselves and our families. I've been a client of Etta and Associates for over 2 years, and I feel 1,000% confident that I'm covered for all of my basic needs, along with any unexpected surprises. Your health matters, so make sure that you are covered. Call or text Leela's team today and set yourself up with a free consultation to review your coverage options and to ensure that you and your business are protected. Well, welcome everyone. We are here for another episode of Women Winning Their Way, and you are going to love this one because we are talking about money and, more importantly, how all of us can build wealth in our life. And to help me with this is my friend, Holly Morphew. Holly, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Clara. I'm so excited to be here.
So, Holly, before we dive in, why don't you just go ahead and briefly introduce yourself to the team?
Yes. Well, I'm Holly Morphew. I'm an accredited financial counselor, financial coach, speaker, and Reiki practitioner.
Wow, you're just bringing it all in together. I love it. Mind, body, spirit. I love it so holistically. I'm so excited to have you on the show because there's a difference between income and wealth. And I think so many times when we're talking about business, we're so focused on just the making of the more money, but making more money doesn't always mean that we're building long-term wealth. And that's really what we want to do. So before we do that, I always like to ask this very first question. The title of the show is called Women Winning Their Way. When you hear that, what does that mean to you?
Oh, it means to me that women know what they value on an individual level. And it looks different for every woman.
Yeah.
I think starting with knowing what you value is the most important thing that we can do in life, in business, in relationships.
So powerful to do that because you're right. Everything aligns with that. That's how we start to make all of our decisions. We make the decisions on the things that are most important to us. So I think that's fantastic. Okay, so let's dive into this because we all want to make more money. And we want to be smart with money. And I think sometimes, we think we're too far into it or we don't understand it. It can be complex. And this is what you do is you start to make it easy and make it attainable. So talk to us a little bit about understanding what building wealth is.
Yes. Well, easy, simple. I like to use the word simple. And my book is called Simple Wealth because truly to build wealth, and there's our modern definition of wealth, which is a state of positive cash flow and positive net worth. And then there's the wealth trifecta, which my podcast is called The Wealth Trifecta, because the complete and origin of the word wealth means a state of good fortune, happiness, and welfare. So health, happiness, and a state of good fortune all need to come together to create true wealth. And that's the approach that I take. Yes, my zone of genius, if you will, and my career has all led me to being a great financial coach. And I do think that is my gift in this life, is making money simple for people. And there is a practical and tactical component of it. And it starts with, how are you managing your money and what is your strategy? Do you even have a strategy? And I can say all this because I started my own wealth journey with $67,000 of credit card debt, living paycheck to paycheck.
Wow.
And the system that I teach is exactly what I use to eliminate my debt in 3 years and reach early financial independence in my 30s. So wherever you start, wherever you are, however old you are, however much money you make, you can build wealth because money is infinite. And we haven't even gotten to mindset. And I can't wait to talk about that. But I think
Oh
probably
my
a
gosh.
lot of people listening want to know, how do I do it? Then
Yeah.
that's why I wrote the book. That's why I wrote
I
the book.
love that. This idea, and I love so much that you're honest about the fact that you had credit card debt. And I think that that's really going to speak to a lot of people because you understand where they're coming from and the fear and the hopelessness of can I ever get out of that and where that is. I think when I talk with people about this and about getting financial freedom, I have a lot of people that equate being smart with money equals boring, equals I can't live, equals I can't have fun and buy things that I want. So, can you debunk that myth a little bit for us?
Yeah, well, wealth is a spectrum. I was just thinking about it before we hopped on our call this morning. I was at a conference a couple weeks ago, and I have a program that I teach at companies and for teams and organizations. It's a financial literacy program. And we were talking about how binary the term financial literacy is. It's like either you have it or you don't. And it's really truly a spectrum because we all have these ideas about money and these beliefs about money, and half of them aren't even true. So, for people who are thinking, God, I just want to, this is what I hear a lot. Like, Holly, I want to live for today because I don't even know if
Yeah.
I live into my 60s, my 70s, my 80s. And I totally get that. And again, it really is about balance and wanting the best for your future self. And that's what it came down to for me. It's not, I wasn't in debt because I was stupid. I wasn't in debt because I was uneducated. I was in debt because I didn't want to look at it. I was in debt because I had expensive medication that was $5,000 a month. And I did that for 6 months. And I was like, this is not sustainable. I've got to find another way. So, we're all on this wealth journey, and one thing can happen and it changes everything. And then we start over again, or, we make an investment, we buy a business or we buy a property and we liquidate our money to buy it. And then we start over. And that's constantly what we're doing in this money game. And truly it is a game, and it can be fun. It can be
Right.
fun.
Okay. I love that. So let's go into the mindset because, I'm on a different spectrum where I talk with people about business, success, and I talk with people about mindset all the time and, programming their brain to be the CEO of their life and business, to program themselves for success. Talk to me a little bit about mindset as it relates to money and building wealth.
Well, we have to remember how programmed we are and how we have been trained to believe certain things about money. And this all comes from being passed down from generations past before us, where
Mhm.
there was really an aristocracy and a working class, and there really wasn't a middle class. And so it was money doesn't grow on trees, easy come, easy go. We have to work hard for our money. Money is the root of all evil. These are all some money myths that just aren't true.
Mhm.
So when it comes to mindset, the first part is to become aware of, and I'll give you an example. I'll use myself. I grew up in a family where my parents both worked really hard. And for my dad, he just accepted that he had this 6 day a week job, and he was an entrepreneur and he ran his own business, and he worked really hard. He worked until 7 on weeknights and he worked every Saturday. My mom was an entrepreneur, is still an entrepreneur and a real estate investor. And come tax time, she would just be so stressed every single year, and everything was hard and everything was a challenge. And so I took that mindset into my career. And it wasn't until about 4 or 5 years ago when I realized, oh, I have this belief that taxes are stressful, that business has to be hard and challenging. And I don't like that. That doesn't feel good. The whole reason I became an entrepreneur, and I'm a 7-time entrepreneur. So I didn't set out to create financial impact my company and become a financial coach. It's something that I discovered I really enjoy doing and can make positive impact doing. And at the same time, I've had my full professional career. And when I exited my last business, what do I want to do? It had to be something that I enjoyed. And I
Mhm.
still have to pay taxes like everyone else. But now I have this mantra. I love doing my taxes, and it has changed everything. So going back to, for each one of us, our mindset is going to be a little bit different based on what we learned growing up about money, about scarcity, about abundance, and what we learned from our parents and other authority figures. And
Mhm.
once you can get really clear on, oh, I have this belief that I'm like, I have clients who are like, Holly, I'm really good at making money. I have no idea how to keep it. And I have other clients who are like, I'm not good at making money, but I'm really good at saving. So we all have a different place where we enter this wealth spectrum. And so it's introspection. That is where we begin, is what do you believe about money? And how can we rewire those beliefs to create beliefs that invite more of it into your life that you are able to hang on to and grow?
I love that. Now, I realize that, this is a loaded question. This is exactly what you work with people on, for months at a time or in a class. But what are some easy first steps that somebody can do to start to rewire their programs?
Well, noticing how you're feeling when it comes to making any kind of financial decision, or how are you feeling when it comes to talking about money? Or do you have any triggers that come up in your relationship if you're managing money with someone else? Just noticing that. Just
Mhm.
noticing where are you holding on? Where are you fighting for a voice? There's information in that, and there's gold in that.
Mhm.
Because when we hold on to anything, whether we're holding on to money and hoarding it, or we're holding on to a I'm right, there's some kind of learning in that. And
Okay.
so being willing to just be more curious.
Mhm.
Why am I so triggered when this person says that? Why am I so triggered when someone, post about their success on, blah, blah, blah? What is coming up for you, that? And just noticing. So it's awareness. Everything in money starts with awareness, even, crushing your debt, even, building wealth. It all starts with, where are you right now? And just being willing to look at it.
Yeah. And I think that can be really scary. And I would imagine that when some people come to you, they might be feeling some shame or some embarrassment on it. Because, like you said, you didn't do this because you were stupid. I don't think people are stupid. I just think they get caught up. And like you said, you had medication. Sometimes life happens. You lose a job, a parent gets sick, you get divorced, and then it just kind of starts to snowball. And I would imagine that, when you get in it, that fear, that shame could kind of be a spiral.
Shame, confusion, and overwhelm are the top
Mhm.
three emotions that my clients are facing when it comes to money. And partly it's because, we have not until now done a great job of making personal finance education a priority in K through 12 curriculum. It's getting better. It really is getting better. And that's a wonderful thing. But money is also a taboo topic in our culture. And so a confused mind says, no, you haven't talked about it for all these years. Your parents didn't talk about it. And all of a sudden you're expected to be good at it. What?
Well, I thought it was really interesting that you brought up all of these sort of myths and just these sayings like money is the root of all evil, money doesn't grow on trees. I had never really thought about all those sayings that are out there that so many of us grew up with, that it's just there. I would love to get the other side of that. I have a 19-year-old son, and right now, and I, first of all, love that you're teaching teenagers and bringing this into the younger generation, because I just think it's amazing and we need to do that. But I think there's also almost a flip side where a lot of us grew up with ultra scarcity. I see it on social media all the time. It's like people just spending money, living in all these, influencers. And I think there's a lot of also the younger generation that thinks it's so easy.
Well, there back in the day when I first started teaching personal finance, which I started teaching as a service project with Rotary International, because I realized that my friends were having a different experience with money than I was, because they didn't want to talk about it and because they weren't educated. And I could see that they were, making financial mistakes. And I thought, gosh, this is so unnecessary. So I'm going to go to local high schools, teach young adults about money so that they can take a step in the right direction when they get out in the real world, and so on and so forth. So I was reading all of the research and the data around the little financial education that was in schools at the time. And half of the data said that even for high school students who did receive financial education, it still didn't make a difference because they don't have any skin in the game. They
Yeah.
don't get it. They don't know what
Yeah.
it
True.
means.
Hmm.
And so really, and that's why I talk about just-in-time financial education. So when you're ready, then you'll get the information that you need. So for someone who's, an impulsive spender like I was, and I still am. I have so many different rules for myself around how I can keep my spending in check, and systems that I use so that I can put my money into places where it will grow based on whatever financial goal I have at the time. So, for young adults who don't have a concept of what it means to earn, that's the first step. And we do have a problem in our country. I do want to speak to this too. We are teaching people to be in debt. There's no doubt about it. Banks and lenders make money giving people loans. And
Right.
most of the financial education that people are getting, if they're not getting it in school and they're not getting it in the workplace, is coming from a Credit Karma, a bank, or a lender who, one, they make money by giving people loans. So we have, and plus our country is in debt. So you start to think about all these subliminal messages that we're getting, which is like more credit, refinance your home, and wipe away your credit. So the messages are there. So what's a young person supposed to think if they don't have something else
Right.
that's on the other side of that? So it's a challenge, and that's something that we, as a culture, as a nation, we are starting to speak to, and it's definitely happening in the different. I'm an accredited financial counselor, and we receive continuing education seminars every year to maintain my certification, and it is just incredible how much more complicated it is today to manage money than it was for our parents and our grandparents' generations. There are just simply more things to spend on, more things to buy. It's more expensive today. There's no doubt about it. So we have to have systems and strategies to build wealth.
Yeah, definitely. And I think sometimes we're talking about, so many of the people watching this and following the show are women in business, entrepreneurs. And I think sometimes, when we are in the entrepreneur mindset, and I love that you're a 7-time entrepreneur because you can really speak to this. To start a business takes money. And I think sometimes and like for me, I love to save money. I'm one of those hoarders and love to save money. And it's been hard for me to sometimes grow my business because I don't want to go into debt. So can you speak to that mindset a little bit? Because there's certain times where you have to spend money to grow your business. So I would love to have you speak to it from a perspective of speaking to the women in business.
Yeah. So for the women who are in business, let's build your business credit. Let's keep your business credit separate from your personal credit. And you can do that. If you have an EIN number, an employer identification number, then you can build credit on your business. It will not show up on your personal credit report. And that's powerful. It gives you more buying power, so to speak, if you're wanting to buy an asset, for example, like property. Yes, you still have to make payments on that business debt, right? And
Really?
so
You do?
but that's one strategy. And you're right, Clara. We, as entrepreneurs, there is a vast number of skill sets that we can be focusing on at any one point in time. And my approach was always to build lean businesses and add in the expenses that I desperately needed when I needed them, that I knew I was going to see a return. And for those who are, considering, okay, I really need to add this, look at how it's going to impact your bottom line or give you your time back.
Yeah.
Because if you're clear on what you make per hour in your work, if you can outsource something that you're doing and get your time back to make more per hour than what you would spend on whatever task it is, then that's a worthy expense.
Yeah.
So, and it is easy. It's easy to get caught up and I need this and I need that. And then all of a sudden you've got a very long profit and loss statement full of expenses. And so, I like to build a bridge to a sustainable, profitable, and positive impact business.
Yeah.
So how long are you willing to go? I mean, that was when I started my first business. I had to ask myself the question, how long am I willing to be negative before I decide that I'm going to do something else or before I make a change? And really look at the horizon and how long you're willing to take on an expense or be in debt before you make some kind of shift, and make that decision on the front end so that when you get there, it's not an emotional reactive response.
And I think that this would be a time where someone like you would be so beneficial to be able to kind of bring in the checks and balances of, hey, I'm looking at this and helping them make the decisions. Cause I really love what you were saying about the time. And that's something that I speak on a lot is the value of our time and looking at time as an investment. And you're absolutely right. It's not that we can or can't do something. It's a matter of should we be doing it based upon our role in our organization and again, our dollar per hour. But having someone in your corner like you who's going to help them be able to make these decisions and give them the confidence in future decision making, I think could be extremely powerful. So I really appreciate you sharing that. I want to kind of go over because I think that there's some people who just think it's too late for me. I'm so far in the hole, and then they just give up. And I would love to get your talk, again, even though I know you were, in your 30s that you said, but this idea of is it ever too late?
Yeah, it's never ever too late. What's the saying? If the best time to plant a tree was yesterday and the second best time is today.
Yeah.
And, when it comes to money, especially if you're stressed and you feel like you're behind, ask yourself, what is one thing that you can do different right now? Because reaching a financial goal does require doing something different or doing something uncomfortable for a temporary period of time. So if you're willing to get uncomfortable, and that's what I said to myself when I was crushing $67,000 of debt. I mean, I was serious about it because I was living paycheck to paycheck and I had a mortgage, a car payment, tons of credit cards, I had all the things and I was literally a paycheck away from the house of cards crumbling down. So I did have to learn how to say no and how to create an environment that was for me, as
Yeah.
opposed to an environment where I was, constantly spending money that I didn't have, and putting the credit cards away was a big piece of that.
Yeah.
But I also got a roommate. I also started thinking about, well, how, for 2 years, it was about reducing and eliminating expenses. And you can only do that so much if you're living lean, right?
Mhm.
And then it becomes, okay, how can I start to create more income? And whether it's a quick cash kind of situation, or it's, a freelance situation, or for me, I was like, oh, I'm working 70 hours a week at this job. I worked in corporate finance and of course, entrepreneurship and in real estate. That was my professional career before I became a full-time financial coach. I had 5 hours a week. That's how much TV I was watching. I decided I can trade 5 hours a week of TV for something that will make me money. My very first additional income stream was working for a direct sales company, and it was a plug and play, and I loved it. So whether for you it looks like selling your car and riding a bike or taking public transportation for a period of
Yeah.
time, or getting
Mhm.
a roommate, or instead of going out to eat 5 days a week, you go out 1 day a week, like just really becoming conscious of
Mhm.
those places where you can save for a short period of time. And it really is those top 3 line items that can make the biggest difference. And people do it.
They
Food,
do.
transportation, and housing. People
Yeah.
do it all the time.
Yeah, one of my favorite sayings is, today is not your forever reality. And I really appreciate what you're saying of it's a short-term thing. And if you really are ready and if you're really serious about it, again, sometimes it's these little things. Some of the things that I've done is instead of going out for coffee every day, making coffee at home. It may not be the best. However, the win that I get from it is better. Spending $50 every couple of weeks getting a pedicure. I would rather have that money and invest in getting a virtual assistant to free up my time and make more money. So I really appreciate that. And it's not always easy because, again, it's simple, but it's not always easy because it does hurt. It's uncomfortable now. But just I think knowing and maybe even setting a time frame, again, sitting down with someone like you to help them come up with it and say, okay, it's 18 months. You can do this for 18 months when you look at the big picture. So I really appreciate you being honest and sharing that. So yeah.
Yeah. And just the practice of saying, I'm choosing, instead of going out, I'm choosing to stay in. That builds confidence. And there's
Mhm.
power in that, because you truly are looking after yourself today and tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I realize, we have confidentiality and I want to keep that, but can you think of a success story of one of your clients? You shared one of your personal ones of you getting out of debt, but can you share just kind of a quick success story of someone you've worked with?
Oh, I had a client I worked with a few years ago. They were a corporate, I don't know if she was an executive or a director. She had a nice, cushy corporate job, but she did not want to work for corporate America. That was kind of her goal, is how can I build a bridge to, being fully self-employed. And she also wanted to buy a house. She just had a lot of questions about, like, how do I free myself? So we worked together for, I think, 6 months, and ultimately she created that path. She did end up buying a house, and she is now a full-time corporate trainer, fully self-employed. And that story just really sticks out to me because if you have a dream, it's totally possible.
Yeah.
It is totally possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Well, Holly, I just love what you're doing. I think that you are empowering people in an area that can be overwhelming and scary to some people, and putting them in a position of strength and confidence, and putting them back in control of their future. And I just think that's such a beautiful thing to do. And I can tell that you are very passionate. So even just looking at your journey, because I know that your journey isn't done. So can you share with us a little bit about what's next for Holly?
Well, I have given that a lot of thought in the past, I would say couple of years, because I sort of reached all the professional goals that I had for myself. And the last personal goal that I had for myself was to buy my dream house.
Mhm.
And I remember moving in and just feeling completely deflated. Like,
Mm.
what? This is, I thought I would feel a certain way when I got all of the things. And what I'm learning is that truly, truly being fulfilled in your heart is the best barometer for purpose and drive and passion in life. So what's next for me is just continuing to enjoy this amazing journey. I'm so thankful for the life that I've created, really through a lot of intention and goal setting, and just being committed to my personal life vision and to my core values. And I think also, as an entrepreneur, it's, for me, it's not just about a profitable and sustainable business. It's about a business that makes positive impact. So staying on that path is what feels really good for me, as opposed to, oh, I'm going to start another business. Oh, I want to make $1 million. Like, that just doesn't feel aligned with what it is that I value in life. And that's my biggest challenge, Clara, is filtering out all of the noise that's saying, oh, you have to do more. Oh, you have to be more. No, I get to be happy. I get to choose the work that I do. I get to choose to wake up in this beautiful home that I live in, and serve others. So, I added this new thing, as I mentioned at the beginning of our interview, that this year I became certified to be a Reiki practitioner. Energy healing has been a big theme in my life, healing from chronic illness. And I feel like it's a gift to have become a practitioner and have become certified. And I'm really enjoying giving Reiki sessions. It's just as healing for me as it is for others. And so I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to keep financial coaching and doing financial literacy programs with organizations and teams, and speaking.
Love it. Fantastic. Well, we're going to put all of your information in the show notes. And I really encourage anybody who is following this to reach out, just have a conversation with Holly. Maybe even consider, bringing her into, one of your meetings with your people, or, in your organization, or doing something. Even if you're out there, you could do a client appreciation event and bring her in to have her help your people or their teams and all of that. So, Holly, I have one last question for you before we close things out today. Sitting where you sit today, and you answered this a little bit in your last question, but how do you define success for yourself now?
Again, it comes back to being happy and being present in the moment,
Yeah.
just being present in the moment, and allowing all the things that are magical to flow.
Awesome. Well, Holly, thank you so much for being here. I know that you brought great information, and I know everyone else is going to take a lot of value. So thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, you're welcome. And I'll add one last thing, Clara, for those who are wanting more, wanting free resources, just want to know what is this system. I have a ton of freebies on my website. So you can grab a wealth strategy, you can grab a additional income guide. There's so many different free resources because I feel like financial education should be free. So my website's financialimpact.com, and go there and get what you need.
Love it. Thank you so much. What a great gift. And yeah, take advantage of those people. I love it. Thanks so much. I am so grateful that Holly was on the show today because I do think that finances are so important to us. And I think that they are something that can be very overwhelming, very confusing. And I think, again, we never think we're doing it the right way. We never think we're making enough. We always think we're spending too much. We don't know where to invest. We don't know what's right, what's wrong. And so being able to have someone in your corner to really break it down. I love the idea that she says that, it starts by knowing what you value and really looking at your time, not just your dollars. And are you investing these things in the areas that are important to you? I really appreciated the fact that she's come from debt. She wasn't just someone that was born making it very easy. She lived it. So she understands what so many of us are going through and found a way out that worked for her. The idea that sometimes we have to endure short-term sacrifices to open us up to the long-term gain. And the question that she wrote and she put out there is she said, just ask yourself, what is one thing that I can do? Again, using coupons at the store, limiting how often you eat out, maybe coloring your own hair, getting a roommate, not forever, but for a short period of time to help you get the control back so you are feeling more confident. The idea that we have to change our programs and that understanding that and giving ourselves some grace around that and knowing that this is a process. I do believe it is something that we all can have, and it is something that we need to educate ourselves on. So I hope that you feel stronger, that you feel like you got a little bit of education and you have some more clarity to go forward so that you can start investing in your life and creating life on your terms. Please make sure to like, follow, share, and rate the show so that we can continue to share these messages. And we will see you next time for another episode of Women Winning Their Way.